Hello. 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 My name is Shirley Self, and I'm here to talk astrology. Today, in my discussion of the Vision of William Butler Yeats and the Journey of the Soul, I have come to moon phase 25. To find moon phase 25, well, it encompasses the septile. So there's going to be a septile a division between the sun and the moon. This is 308 degrees, 34 minutes separation between the sun and the moon to 321 degrees and 25, or 26 minutes actually. And that 12 degrees in there is the Crusader, moon phase 25. To find the body of fate, you take the ascendant and subtract 77 degrees 25 minutes. That will put, if this were your horoscope, it would put the body of fate up in here, and the creative genius then down in here. So we come to the Crusader, the revolutionary, the Crusader for lost causes. This is the rectangle of power, 19, 11, 5, and 25. And notice that 25 and its mask over here at 11 are at the heart of those fixed signs. They're right in the middle of Leo and Aquarius are release points of energy. And so these people don't have any trouble releasing the energy. The whole idea is to release it properly, to use the energy properly. Over here in these release points, the reluctance to release that energy handicapped them enormously. So looking at the size of this rectangle, we come again to a great, huge potential to increase their power, increase the power of the soul. So because they've got such a potential for power and accomplishment, they have a great potential to abuse that power. So few resist the temptation that accompanies great personal power, and these people have great personal power. This is coming at a difficult time for them because the sun and the moon are here separated. The sun is still out regarding the world and what it can do in it, where the moon, however, has changed focus and now is introspective, focused inward. The whole point for that moon focusing inward is that reconnection with the inner truth, this Persephone, the inner truth, the inner light that was earned here and discovered here must be rediscovered at moon phase 2025. Now understand that consciously rediscovered. Persephone's been working within as instinct all this time, and now it's 25 needs to, because we're up here in the fire quarter, in the quarter of spirit. 25 needs to become aware, consciously aware of that inner light, because that's a conscious attunement to one's own inner light that recognizes the inner light in the outer world. And that's what the sun is doing, is looking for God out in the world. So this becoming aware that happens of their inner light, their inner Jupiter, Venus, is more difficult at moon phase 25 than it was at 11. 11 had to virtually pioneer going down there and discovering it, whereas moon phase 25 has only got to remember it. But it's more difficult at 25 because of the pride issue, and pride is an issue here. 25 is an aristocrat. He's proud of his technical skill He's proud of his rational mind. He's proud of his scientific attitude. Pride is the curse of the fire quarter. Pride will make them insensitive to other people. It'll make them oblivious to their own inner truth. And that's what they need in order to function properly in this world, is to have that direct contact with their own inner truth. When pride dominates, the mind cannot submit to spirit. It has no conviction to guide it. The problem is mind, intellect, is incapable of deciding what to do. The only motivation that 25 can gain comes from the mask, and it's that deep feeling of conviction that comes from the light in the body, Persephone. Now, what conviction is an instinctive awareness of the laws of nature, natural law. Now, that instinctive awareness of natural law, it can be hidden for a long time at moon phase 25 beneath the habits of thought concerning personal power, habits of personal gratification, habits, and pride. So the spiritual imperative is strong here, growing stronger, and a war is starting at moon phase 25. It's between spirit and the habit of mind. It's between faith and science. Now, this war can consume several lifetimes before mind submits to the spiritual will. Until then, motivation is lacking, so they'll be vague, they'll drift. They can only be moved to action by some spiritual objective. They need a belief system. I hate to say religion, but they need some belief system in order to, because they need the sympathy of fellow travelers. These people are trying to rejoin the world here, trying to reconnect with their physical senses, trying to reconnect with the importance of the physical body and the importance of what can be done in the physical body, spiritually as well as physically. Remember, these people get to decide whether they're going to be teachers or martyrs. And so that they need a belief system because they need fellow travelers here. They're totally independent, but they need that kind of social interaction, kind of a shelter from the storm. Something that can take the burden off the logical mind. We're trying to comfort the logical mind here, give it something to do, because it can, if it's not focused on something, it thinks it can conquer the world. The logical mind is simply now an instinctive, responsive response to the world. It's incapable of motivating action. It's no longer able to guide. So the mask will bring it some belief system, and it has to be rooted in the truth of human nature. It has to be a gnostic belief system, Gnostic, Gnostic. It has to be something that resonates. But he needs a community. He needs to find a community just for the comfort that it will give to his mind. So what the body of fate is going to give to moon phase 25, remember what these people are to do is to repair what these people have done over here. So what 25 is looking for is something that the body of fate provides. And that's a challenge. Some collective condition that moon 25 will attack. Some see any social movement, and there's such social movements over here, and after a while they become calcified. They no longer aid and abet, but become corrosive in the social order. And so 25 is going to take up the cause. He's going to start a war he cannot win. His greatest power is, as with these people over here, is rhetoric. These people are communicators. Excuse me while I have a sip of water. Now, here's the thing about spiritual power. When these people see a need, and that need is going to be discovered down here in their creative genius. When these people see a need, spirit rises to the occasion. Up in here you don't have a lot of physical energy. It's spiritual energy. But spiritual energy flares to need and responds to need. So these people are king breakers. And they're these are the Merlin phases. It's Merlin's job to raise the child properly, to raise our hero properly, to see that he's properly educated and liberated, to see him become king, and then to break the king. The king comes down here and becomes Merlin. What 25 is going to do is to pick a fight that he probably can't win, and he's willing to suffer persecution in order to fight this fight. Think Gandhi here. Gandhi was a moon phase 25. That their power to transform the social reality requires from them a great deal of sacrifice. They're going to have to sacrifice all their habits of choice, their emotional biases, all that's personal in their beliefs. The inner war will continue until the sacred dominates these people. Now, out of phase, they have the spiritual impulses to find a Gnostic community will devolve into some faddish worship of nature. And they'll working from the intellect, they'll be drifting. They'll have rigid thinking because the intellect's got to hold on to it, right, and figure it out. And that makes for intolerance on a personal level. They'll adopt some fixed ideas, some theories that don't have anything to do with what's really important with them. If they don't have that spiritual resonance, they can't do anything. If they lack, they're tactless. They're tactless. They're insensitive. If they continue to desire power, which they probably will, they're ruthless, suspicious. They'll feel persecuted because they're supposed to feel persecuted. 19 brings them some persecution that they are to fight against. So out of phase, they'll feel persecuted and they'll persecute others. They'll pass it on. They'll hide this mask they'll have a mask of sentiment. They'll hide their arrogance and insensitivity. They'll be falsely convivial. They'll something will happen. The daemon will put it into that, probably. It can take several lifetimes to get through this phase. This is a difficult phase. Some crisis, some illness perhaps, come on them suddenly and force them to shut up and turn in and become aware of that inner truth. Just like had to happen at phase 11. That the solar mind has got to turn in and pay attention, listen to the messages of Persephone, the light in the body. As long as they're going to be vulnerable to because they're going to be afflicted with something, and they're going to feel vulnerable, and they need the psychic insulation of faith. They're really vulnerable to outer circumstances, and just having some Gnostic corner to retire to is going to keep them going and help them to stay in touch with their spiritual nature. When the daemon finally drives them into silence, like it had to do over here at 11, that's reconnection with their inner divinity. They will have a vision. As 12 had a vision of his own sanctity, of his own holy potential, 25 is going to have a vision of the sanctity and the holy potential of the world. He shares that common human destiny. He sees the truth. These people up here are working on clarity. They're working to not just hold the orb of dominion in their hand, but to have it right there, right there. Here's where that wakes up. So as they work through, as they work guided by this internal light, there is a brightening in them, an increasing spiritual awareness. And remember up here at 22, where if you had been a teacher, you got to have a choice up here of whether to be a teacher here or a martyr. And at 25, that becomes apparent what that choice was about. 25 will either choose martyrdom in a war he cannot win, or to be a teacher for people who need reminded of what's important in the world. So the awakened moon phase 25 wants to free people from mediocrity. The people are, they have a goal, they have a mission, and they don't have personal loyalties. They have their loyalty to the mission. So they tend to be poor allies because the cause is what's important, not the personal relationships. The physical energy is, I said, low, and that helps them deal with world if they just can renew their spirit daily, like some Gnostic practice. They're this is what Yeats called the loins. Now the depth of their spiritual union, the quality of their spiritual consciousness of phases 25 and 26 determines the quality and the physical power of the will in the coming cycle. Yeats calls this the loins, because this is the quality. And this will be the goal. 27 and 28 will decide on the goal of the next cycle. Okay. So we've got the cards here, and let me take this down for a second. Here's the Kabbalah of the Golden Dawn. And we're here at the Lovers. 11 and 25 connects the Sun and Saturn. It's a crossing of the abyss, a crossing of the death. This is a Lovers card from the Golden Dawn deck. It's got sword and armor, notice. It's a card of uniting the mind. It's a card of the death of the past. It's a card of the sword of perception, cutting to the core of things. It's a test of spiritual strength for sure. It's a war against limitation. And 25 is fighting the war against limitations for all of us, the rest of humanity, fighting for, they're actively using their power to fight for our freedom, and the other card is the Devil, which connects the Mercury and the Sun. And the Devil is a Capricorn card. And he has to do with that mystery that one must penetrate before you can really know what's going on, before you can connect with your higher principle. This is the transition from normal consciousness to true spiritual consciousness. The devil symbolizes raw power. The Capricorn here is a sign of initiation into power and control of that power. Now remember, the devil represents the average person's understanding of reality. As the two in that card are trapped in their limited understanding. So, who do we have that are moon phase 25? There's some really cool people. Salvador Dali, Amelia Earhart, Mohandas Gandhi, who I already mentioned, and he's a prime example of the martyr. Makes a revolution and then leaves. Jim Jones. Now there's a revolution that went definitely in the wrong direction. Che Guevara. Sybil Leek. Garrison Keillor. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Barack Obama. George Washington. And Lenny Bruce. I couldn't leave out Lenny Bruce. I won't quote Lenny Bruce, but he was important. And this is Frida Kahlo. Her data, she was born the 6th of July in 1907 at 6:30 a.m. No, that's 8:30 a.m. Sorry, I have a hole in my card here. In Coyoacan, Mexico. That's Coyoacan, Mexico. Frida Kahlo, a moon phase 25. I call this a case of true grit. She's got that septile in her chart. It's sun is septile to midheaven. Her ascendant and her midheaven are ruled by Mercury, Venus, the moon, and the sun, and Pluto is in the mix. It's an intense chart. I hope you know about Frida. She was wounded when she was young, not a child, I think a young woman. She was wounded. She was in a bus accident and was virtually impaled with some large steel something or other. And that's the crisis you see across there in the 6th house, that Mars Uranus conjunction in opposition to her Neptune and her Sun. And she suffered from that the rest of her life. What do we want to say? She's got so much going on. That Venus-Pluto conjunction is at a 165-degree aspect to Uranus. That's determination, just dogged determination. And her moon's in a critical degree. Her moon's in the 29th degree of crisis. the Neptune and the Sun are also in critical degrees. Now, every 13 degrees around the zodiac is a critical degree, because that's the average movement of the moon. And it seems to work like that. To be on the 13th degree of cardinal sign, for instance, is, or the 26th degree, it takes proper handling. She's got Jupiter is conjunct the north node of Pluto. Now, the north node of Pluto's the nodes. The south node of Pluto, I think, would be very easy to take things apart. The north node of Pluto, I think, is a demand to put things together again in a new way. And Frida did that. She worked all her life. She worked very hard to maintain a life in spite of incredible pain. Look at the Saturn over there in the 8th house in Pisces. And not only is it in Pisces, but it's conjunct a fixed star called Sheet, which is, well, it's a star of drowning. But I would think that there were times in her life when Frida simply drowned in pain. This Saturn is also square that Venus, Pluto, and that Pluto, notice, is in the degree of the nodes. She's got an awful lot of 23 degrees. This is a very karmic life Frida Kahlo led. Because anything that is in any planet or angle that you've got in the degree of the degrees, the same degree as the nodes, the nodes are at 23 degrees. The ascendant, the midheaven, Pluto, and the Venus is at 24. That all of that is this is a very critical lifetime for this woman. And I think her revolution was a revolution against a life as an invalid. The unrelieved opposition there, notice the Mars-Uranus conjunction, doesn't have anything nice to it. No Ptolemaic aspects that will help it to be more functional in this chart. And so what Frida virtually had to do was be sick a while and then go out and live her life and then go home, be sick a while, and it's a vacillation back and forth. But oh God, she produced amazing things, stuff so far ahead of its time that we're just now catching up to her. That was Frida Kahlo. Beautiful woman who's become very popular in the last 10, 15 years, and deservedly so. So, moon phase 25. Not an easy phase to do right. Not an easy phase. And it took George Washington a while. You know, he started the French and Indian War before he started the our Revolutionary War. So just practicing, I guess. Anyway, that's moon phase 25, and next we will come to moon phase 26, the Hunchback. Moon phase 26 is a very important phase and a very difficult phase. And so I'm enjoying telling you about some wonderful people that have managed to do really well with moon phase 26. So I will see you again, and may the world bless you. Bye-bye. Hello. Hello.